is Sammy Steele Thomas. I am the Business Retention and Expansion Coordinator at Midland Development Corporation. And we have started Founders Blend. It came from just conversations with business owners and entrepreneurs about, hey, what is something that this area needs? And when I was talking to a lot of these business owners, they needed a time to just be intentional and talk to other business owners, because running a business is hard, right? If you own your own business, it's really hard. Okay, disclaimer, I don't run my own business, but I find myself really empathetic hearing all of these stories. But it is hard, and sometimes you need that camaraderie and that fellowship to hear, yeah, hey, I'm going through that exact same thing too. And so that's why we created Founders Blend, and it came from a partnership amongst a bunch of different entities here in Midland: Film Hunter Media, UT Permian Basin, Midland College, BAM Consulting, Midland Chamber of Commerce, Second Story Coworking. It really has been a labor of love. And so we dedicate this next hour to our small business owners. So you're going to hear from two small businesses today. They'll give a short presentation about their business, and then a majority of the time thereafter will be Q&A, about 20 minutes of Q&A. They'll be thinking of questions as they're presenting. Oh, hey, you touched on social media. I want to ask them about this because I'm experiencing this in my business. Or if you're a little nervous to ask questions publicly, they're going to stick around here after, and you can ask them questions as well. But before we get started, I see you guys enjoying some yummy treats this morning and some coffee. So that is all thanks to donations. I'd Rather Bake, which is one of the businesses that you'll hear from today. They made those yummy baked goods. And then Scooter's Coffee, that's a new franchise here in West Texas. And that franchise owner is very gracious and has decided to sponsor coffee for a few of our Founders Blend meetings, because we want to continue to make this free and open to the public here. I'll back up so that you guys can see me over here. How many of you, before we get started, this is your first Founders Blend meeting? Well, welcome. We are so excited to have you here. I'm told that the QR code was a little tricky to scan. Before you leave, if you wouldn't mind writing on a piece of paper or something and dropping it in that little fishbowl, a good email for you, and that way we can get you on our mailing list for next month so you can be aware of our future meetings. So without further ado, I will get started here by introducing our first business. You're going to hear from two businesses today: I'd Rather Bake and Air Compressor Solutions. First, you're going to hear, since ladies go first, from Sarah Babel. She is the owner of I'd Rather Bake. She's been married to her high school sweetheart for over 25 years. They have 5 children, 4 daughters and 1 son, and they are expecting their very first grandchild, a little girl, coming this June. I hear 2024 is a good year to have a baby. I hear. She stayed at home with her children while they were growing up, and as they started and go off, she decided to make a passion, which was baking, and see what she could do with that passion. So she started I'd Rather Bake in 2020, and shortly after, their family relocated to Midland for her husband's job at MCH in Odessa. She loves Midland and considers it their forever home. So without further ado, Sarah.
Thank you. Hello. Okay, now I'm going to try and stand in front of this. I'm Sarah, and thank you, Sammy, for inviting me to be here today. Okay, so this is just kind of how I started. Growing up, I always loved to bake. Definitely my love language. In 2018, my oldest daughter graduated from high school, and so I attempted to make her a cake. And doing that, I loved it, but there were that I thought I could do this better. And so it just kind of piqued my curiosity into baking. In 2020, during the pandemic, my husband took a position at MCH, and we relocated from North Texas to West Texas. And since nobody knew me, I had to decide if I wanted to pursue this, and it was going to take some work for me because it had basically become a hobby that was kind of out of control as people I knew heard about me and were asking me to do some stuff. So I had to decide if I was going to continue this. And so I did. So we moved from Wichita Falls to Midland in 2020. I walked into Sgt. Pepper's one day. Are you all familiar with Sgt. Pepper's? And I met Elizabeth, who turned out to be my soul sister. And we became fast friends and decided together. I had told her kind of what I had wanted to do. And we came up with this plan together. We took the old 7-Eleven building at the corner of Garfield and Wadley, and we renovated it and decided to go in together. And we opened in November of 2021. So from 2021 to now, things are a little different. We very, very quickly outgrew our bakery space in Sgt. Pepper's. It was very quick that we outgrew it. I didn't know how we would be received, but fortunately, the community of Midland is absolutely amazing, and they totally embraced us, and we decided that if we wanted to be able to do more, we would definitely need an additional space. So I started looking for a new production-only building. In October, I closed on a building out on North FM 1788, and I began renovating it. And just this week, basically finished renovations on our production space. So we won't be leaving Sgt. Pepper's. It's just going to be that we have the ability to do more and offer more stuff. And so that is the whole idea with our production space. We sell a lot of packaged product too that we make. And in January, I participated in the Dallas market, and so that we could get our packaged product wholesale. And so Dallas market was successful for us. And so now we have our packaged product in a lot of places, all over actually the country, but a lot of places in Texas. I learned at the Dallas market that Texas companies love to support Texas-based companies, which is awesome. So that is where I'm at. So, sorry, I forget about this. Okay, so with the production space, this is what it currently looks like right now. There are two phases. So we have just completed our production space, and our phase 2 is now going further into the building, and we are building a commissary kitchen. So a commissary kitchen, for those who don't know, is a commercial kitchen that people can rent. While we were waiting to get into our Sgt. Pepper space, I was doing things out of my home, and I was tired of doing things out of my home. I needed some separation from work, and my kids didn't want to eat cake for dinner. So I was looking for a place to rent, and I couldn't find anything. And so this became our phase 2 that we have started to build out. So those who do what I did, work out of their home or a food truck, or anybody who just needs commercial space, maybe they don't, have the equipment or whatever, I want to offer that to them. My goal is just to be a resource for people in the community who want to, build their dream or, just separate their home and their business. And then, hopefully I can give them access to my food supplier to just make it a little bit easier for them as a small business, just because I've been there. And so that's my goal, is to help them with that commissary kitchen. So that is in the works. Hopefully it's only going to be a couple months. You never know though. So we'll see. But that is what is to come. I think that was the last. Yeah. So here's my social media. I'd Rather Bake on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all the things. you have questions, you can always call us, come into the store. And, it's crazy how many people have never been into the store. Every single day, people are like, I still haven't been in here. And it's a pretty fun space with, Sgt. Pepper's and us together. It's a fun concept. We do a lot of classes in Sgt. Pepper's space too, which is kind of my true love is teaching. So yeah, that's me. Sorry for the...
No, that was great. I was like, wow, you really took it to heart when I said short and sweet there. Well, you can go ahead and take a seat. So you've got exciting stuff here in the works with that expansion. Walk me through, at what point were you like, okay, this space has done its job, but it is time for us to start exploring. We're just outgrowing this space. When was it finally time where you were like, all right, growth is here?
Honestly, immediately we learned that we didn't have the space that we needed. And I didn't have the manpower, but I couldn't hire more people because we just didn't have the space. It's really hard for us to tell people no when they want a cake. I mean, we're booked out 2 and 3 weeks. And I hate that. I hate that we can't accommodate more people and, so it was scary for me to go into Sgt. Pepper's just to even take that first step. Looking back now, I think it's funny because that's not scary at all compared to what I've done. But I started looking probably within a year.
Yeah.
I kind of had to decide, am I content with just doing this? Or what did I see for myself in the future? And I just, go big or go home. And I think it's just because of the overwhelming support from the community and from our customers. They are amazing, like honestly amazing.
That helps. That helps a lot.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when we initially met, a big part of that discussion, yes, we need to expand, but where to? And real estate is hard to find in Midland. How did you navigate finding a space?
That was really hard. We looked at lots of different places. I was trying to find something that already had a commercial kitchen in it, but there wasn't anything. Very, very limited. And then I had to decide, did I want to lease something? And ultimately I didn't, because I knew I wanted to do the commissary kitchen. And so I didn't want to be, I was just nervous about any kind of violating anybody's tenant, type thing. And I just wanted to feel protected. So, the best bet for me was to purchase a building. And of course, then I had to completely renovate it. And the building that I have now, in one of the bays, there's a car jack. So I'm telling you, it's pink inside the production space. It's so cute. It's pink. There's a wall that's full of cakes, but in one of the bays there is a car jack.
So multifunctional.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know anything about it, but I just know that there's a car jack in one of the bays. So
someone here is like, hey,
come and look at it. We have a lot of space to grow, which is awesome, and it's between 2 and 3 acres. And so that in looking for the space, I wanted the option if I could grow that I could.
Yeah, and you feel like you found that space.
100%.
And how long did that take
to renovate?
To find a space, to start renovating?
When we were very seriously looking, it was probably 6 to 8 months.
So some of the entrepreneurs in the room, you need to hear, it's okay, you're on pace. You're on pace finding.
And I wanted to be content and feel good about it. I don't do anything, just kind of like jumping in. Like to me, there's a lot of contemplation and prayer, and I had to feel comfortable with what I was doing and make sure it was the right thing that I was doing. And ultimately, that's why we decided on that building.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And then you've also ventured outside of cakes into selling freeze-dried candy.
So that's not mine.
Oh, just kidding.
No,
just
I
kidding.
Freeze-dried candy. There's another gal that does that. She's actually a friend of mine.
Okay.
But yeah, no, she does all the freeze-dried candy. All the other packaged product is mine.
Okay, that makes sense. So like, is Frackle yours?
So that was made specifically for Rig ID. We don't even sell that in the store.
Okay,
I created that
recipe. So
for
Frackle is
for Rig
trail
ID.
mix,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's just another, it just shows there's constant collaboration amongst you and other small business owners that in one way or another do benefit your business.
Yeah.
Rig ID's got to buy Frackle.
Yep.
You got to, it's just another way to get your logo out there,
Yep.
name out there.
Yep.
And same with Sergeant Pepper's, that space, redoing that space.
Yeah.
Something else that you touched on is those classes. Did that just come up organically that you were like, hey, I'm doing this when I'm training our employees?
Actually, my goal when I started was to do mostly classes.
Really?
I love teaching. And I think when, baking has given me the confidence in so many aspects, like it's just given me great confidence. And, we were just talking about this, that when you can find something that you're good at, it affects your whole life. And so my thing is find something that you love, find something that you're good at, and develop those talents, because it really does, give you all sorts of confidence. And I love showing people that they can do something that they don't think they can do. And I've done a lot of, research and work and all of that to develop these. And if I can give them some tips to kind of help them on their way, that's what I love to do, is to teach.
That's great. And I mean, you probably did that as a mom of 5. It's just another way to put those skills to work.
Yeah.
So I want to touch on that because you're a female-owned business, and a mom of 5 is a job, a big, big job. What was that like transitioning from, okay, I'm mom, and then I am business owner now? What was that like?
My kids are older, and I only have 2 left at home, and it was hard. There are still some days that I have mom guilt. One of them had a tennis match yesterday, and I'm just trying to be at all of the things that I can be at. But I got to the point that as I'm seeing my kids leave, and I kind of saw the future that I'm going to have a lot of time on my hands, and what did I want to do with that? And so, like I said before, I approach everything with a lot of thought and prayer, and that was no different. My husband has kind of had to help out just a little bit more, which, his schedule's crazy anyways, but they have actually been nothing but supportive. My kids, they have different areas of expertise, and so they contribute a lot. But that was essentially why I decided to do it, because I wanted my kids to know you're never too old to start something. You're never too old to follow your dream. And I'm upper 40s and just kind of figuring things out as I go. But
just getting started.
I'm just getting started, and I love it, but it's exhausting. But like I said, my youngest is 14, and they're very self-sufficient, and it's good for them. It's good for them to have to do some stuff on their own and figure some things out. But I think it's more important that they see me doing things that make me a little uncomfortable, and I'm just trying to be a good example to them.
Well, I think, wasn't that well said? There's no better teacher than just getting down to work and letting your kids imitate that work ethic and mirroring that, hopefully, in the future. Does anyone have any questions here for Sarah? Any questions? Yes.
I'm working on something called cookies, and it's actually a meal that is that you can give out to homeless people. Could you develop something like that?
Sure. We could definitely talk about it. That is like a challenge. That's what I'm all about.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, would love that. And I have such a strong love towards helping in the community. I've been very involved with different nonprofits. Whenever I can, I love to be involved. All of our day old treats that we have left, I send to Reflections Ministries. And we've been very involved with the food bank and all sorts of different nonprofits. That's something I totally love to do. Mm-hmm.
Yes, back here.
Whenever you moved to make the move to go to the Dallas market, like, how did you know you were ready to be able to get to that level?
I don't know that you ever know that you're ready. Honestly, that was such a beast for me to take on, especially because that was, what was it, the first or second week in January. Our busiest time, like we can't even get our heads above water, is from about September to Christmas. And then I had to jump in and go to the Dallas market. I learned a lot. I mean, you just have to have your first time. And I learned a lot. It was beneficial, but I had to just look at the future. What was I like trying to accomplish in the future? And for me to get my products out there, that I had to do it. And it was a great experience. It was exhausting. It's a lot of work, but I have great help.
Any other questions? Yes.
So you're building out this commissary kitchen. How are you figuring out the pricing and that kind of thing for those vendor or those people who are coming in and wanting to use your space?
So I've done a lot of research with different areas that have commissary kitchens, and just trying to navigate, like in this area, what it would be. My number one goal, though, is just to be helpful to the community. So I don't want to say the money is my number one goal, if I'm being honest. I just feel more of a responsibility to give them options. And as a small business, I know what it's like to have all of these different costs. And so I want to make it beneficial for them. So I'm just going to be sensitive to stuff like that. But I just looked in different markets as to more or less how they rent out their space. Do they do it by the hour? Do they do it by the month? And a lot of them have options as far as storage. So if they want to keep their stuff in a dry storage, if they are going to need cooler storage, like there's going to be things like that that will be available to them. I mean, that's really the only way that I have known how to figure out how to price it.
So just learn along the way. Yes.
Mine's on gluten-free and baking. Have you?
Okay, so that to me is kind of a big deal. However, I am not going to just do something just for the sake of it being gluten-free. My thing is, I am a dessert snob, and it has to be good. Like, my thing is, if you're going to waste calories on a baked good, it better be worth it. Like, we're not going for store-bought cupcakes here. Like, throw it down.
The reason I asked is I now have to be gluten-free.
So there's a lot of people who want gluten-free stuff. So we do have several gluten-free options. That's not true. That's not true.
You haven't tried I'd Rather Bake, I guess.
Here's the thing. Several of our things were gluten-free, and I didn't even realize it. Okay? But now, seeing the demand for gluten-free, but like I said, it's not going to just be put out for the sake of being, because it's gluten-free. Like, you people need good stuff too. So we do have several, and actually, most of our packaged goods are gluten-free. So come in, the brown butter Rice Krispie, to die for, and it's gluten-free. So just come and try it.
That's amazing.
That's a challenge right there.
Any other questions here for Sarah? Yes.
Sarah, how did you get your wisdom and knowledge on how to bake your goods?
Trial and error. A lot of reading. It's funny when you find something that you are really passionate about, how much you want to learn about it. And it literally has just been trial and error. I've been asked to do a couple of different baking competitions. One of them was last year, and it was like a pilot for Prime Video. So, when they called and asked me to do it, a lot of people come up with pilots that never do anything. Well, this one did. People thought I was crazy for saying no, but I was afraid that the second I stepped foot on a stage, all of my knowledge would disappear and I would look like an idiot. And so I don't have the confidence to do that just yet, but I have been asked twice. So
Yet you weren't
yet.
there.
And also, they need you to go out to LA and shoot for 9 weeks, and I'm not ready to be gone that long. So not yet. Maybe one day, but not yet.
Any other questions here? Yes, Angel.
Hi.
Did you say brown sugar Rice Krispies?
Brown butter Rice Krispie.
Even better.
If you know what brown butter is, by raise of hands, who knows what brown butter is? And it makes the world go round. You got to come in and try it. Yeah, it's gluten-free, and it's one of our most popular items.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Our sugar cookie and our chocolate chip cookie are hands down our biggest sellers every single day. But everything in its own right is very popular. So
That's great. Well, any other questions? I'll close this out with one. You have learned a lot, it seems like, since 2020 and starting this experience. And there's some other entrepreneurs, I'm sure, in the audience that they are in the same position you were in 2020. What would be your advice to them on getting started running their own small business?
oh gosh, don't be afraid. It's exhausting. I'm not going to lie. And I have to keep telling myself, okay, this is what everybody goes through when they're building a small business. It's hard. It's a lot of work. But don't be afraid to ask questions. When I was at Market, I had this gentleman come up to me and he was asking me a lot of questions, and he said, I'm where you were at 11 years ago. And I just took that opportunity to ask him a whole bunch of questions. And then it was amazing, the information that he gave to me. And then later in the afternoon, a gal had come up to me that is at where I was at 2 years ago. So she was asking me a whole bunch of questions that I felt like I could answer for her. It really does come full circle. And so honestly, don't be afraid to go and ask others who are in the same industry. And it makes me sad that some people think that we're all in competition with each other, and that is so not how it should be. I want to support any other bakery or anybody who's doing anything remotely close to what I'm doing, because I feel like we're all here to boost each other up and help each other. And that would just be my advice, is just don't be afraid to ask questions. And if you feel like you're going to look dumb, then who cares? I've probably looked dumb a lot asking questions, but I've learned. And there's still so much for me to learn every day.
Yeah, that was so well said. What a great note to end on. Well, thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you.
This is for you here.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
thank you so much. Thank you.
Well, actually, I'll just take it over. Wasn't that great? And we have so many small businesses just like Sarah's. You're about to hear from another one. We're going to switch gears out of the kitchen, though, into a completely different industry here. And you're going to learn about air compressor solutions. So Brian Stubbs, he grew up in southeastern New Mexico. He received his bachelor's in mechanical engineering from New Mexico State University. And after college, Brian accepted a position at Cummins Engine Company as a development engineer. After a short courtship, Brian and his now wife, Jenny, were married, and they moved to Indiana to further Brian's career with Cummins. After 10 years at Cummins, Brian and Jenny decided to move to Arizona. Brian took a position with a startup company developing clean energy solutions for existing engines, among other technologies. He was made director of engineering, leading about 50 engineers developing products in engine testing, vehicle testing, engine controls, onboard diagnosis, engine performance, regulatory compliance, and service for a natural gas conversion system for existing diesel engines. Brian and Jenny then decided to move closer to home when Brian was offered a position at CSI as a project manager and engineer in Midland. After a short stay at CSI, Brian was given the opportunity to be the rental manager at Air Compressor Solutions. After about a year as the rental manager, Brian was promoted to general manager of ACS. With a year of management experience at ACS, Brian was able to purchase ACS from the previous owner in November of 2017. And since 2017, ACS has opened 4 additional branches, growing from 18 employees to about 90 today. ACS has also been able to add additional products and capabilities to their offerings to have Air Compressor Solutions grow their revenue 6 times the 2017 amount. When not at work, Brian and Jenny have a 12-year-old son at Ideas Travis Middle School and a 16-year-old son at Midland High School. Brian also enjoys being involved with multiple nonprofits in Midland and Odessa, because, it sounds like you just have so much free time. It really does. Without further ado, Brian.
Very much. Okay, I apologize if I have to stop and get a drink. I have allergies. I don't know if y'all know this. We have that in West Texas every once in a while. Thank you very much, Sam. So just a real quick story about what we do at ACS. Pretty much we're an equipment dealer. We do air compressors and generators. Mostly Ingersoll Rand is our main brand. This was actually established in 1985 here in Odessa by previous owner Bruce Peeler. They grew a lot. They were really big. But really powerful part of the story is in about 1999, a whole bunch of nationally funded rental houses came into Odessa, United Rentals, Sunbelt, and a lot of those. And so they actually went through the whole process of a bankruptcy. And the reason that's really important is out of that bankruptcy, the culture of the company changed to we'd rather be good than big. That's really, really important to us today. We believe that our customers tell us how to grow. We don't force our growth. If we're good, they'll come to us and say, hey, we want you to do this, or here's some more work, or can y'all do this for us? So that's really been a secret to how we operate our business. So it's really the easiest way to think about what we do. We're kind of a car dealership in the industrial world. So we sell air compressors, we sell generators, we sell parts for that, our stuff and our competitors. We offer service, preventive maintenance contracts and things like that, and we stand behind our equipment. We also have a rental fleet, so if you need an air compressor or generator for a short period of time, or if yours breaks and you need to get up and running, we can get you a rental unit. And we just started actually fabricating, so we put air compressors together with some other equipment and actually make an air compressor system or an air system. So like I said, we've been doing this since about in 2016, and it's just been a wild 6X on just about everything ride since then. So quick timeline since I bought the place. We opened up a rental store in 2018. The property next to our place in Odessa came for sale. Our rental group was growing. They needed more offices and more yard space, so we were very lucky to buy this place next door and actually start a rental separate kind of looking group. We opened up an Amarillo store also in 2018. The way our business works is like through Ingersoll Rand, they give us an area of responsibility that we have to try to grow business for them and for us. So in 2018, our business was pretty much, if you picture the panhandle of Oklahoma, due south to the Mexican border. So we had like the center part of Texas. So we opened up a store in Amarillo, really to get us diversified now the oil field. So it was a great opportunity to grow the business and capability and customer base also. And then Ingersoll Rand kind of saw how we were growing and what we were doing. We started talks in 2019, and they actually awarded us the territories of El Paso and all of New Mexico in 2020, right after, or actually it was in June 2020. Horrible time to try to grow business, but we did it anyways. We opened our store in El Paso in 2020. Again, opening a store is very difficult. Opening it in a pandemic in another town is very difficult. But it really grew our team to learn how to solve some really hard fast-paced problems. We opened a store in Albuquerque in 2021. In about late 2022, early 2023, we started doing our own fabrication. Up until then, we had an outside vendor here in Midland make those for us. So they're still making about half of them, and we make half of them now at our shop in Odessa. And then right now we're in the middle of opening a store in Carlsbad. So we had kind of a soft opening in February, and we'll have a grand opening for that store in next month. So that's kind of our quick timeline. This is kind of what we do. So we do sell loose equipment if they want it, but you'll see kind of in the middle of that is a air compressor. We make the skid that goes underneath it there in Odessa or at our vendor here. Behind that, there's a dryer that takes water out of the system, so it's nice and clean air. And then there's a big tank on that. And really what this allows us to do, yeah, we sell equipment, but now we can start adding things to that equipment. We can add filters, we can add sensors, we can add whatever the customer needs to get that unit up and running and meet their needs. And so actually we started a full instrumentation group just recently. So now we're putting instrumentation on these units. They can plug that into their system and they can watch these things on their phone now. So they call us when they have a failure from Midland and say, hey, this unit out in Pecos is about to have a failure. Can y'all get out there today? So it's been a really neat way to grow our company and our capability of adding that. And then hopefully when we sell a piece of equipment, we get the contract to do preventive maintenance. Again, we change the oil, change the belts, change the filters. If it breaks down, they call us. And again, if they need something quickly, we can rent them something. So all the pieces of the business really do work together. And it really does depend on how we service and take care of those customers. The other thing about air, so outside of Odessa, outside of the oil field, air is really a utility. It is a inexpensive, reliable way to transport power. So it is used in every type of industry you can think of. We kind of call it heavy commercial to heavy industrial. The easy way to think about it, when we moved to El Paso, every one of those factories in El Paso and Juarez has an air compressor. Some of them have up to 1,000 horsepower of air compressors in the back of those factories. So it is really like being a utility company, and we have to service those. So that's the ACS story. I really, actually Sarah pointed on it too. So I really think part of being an entrepreneur is really being part of your community, really growing. So first job, when I was an engineer, I grew teams, and the first goal was to find somebody to take my place so I could go do the next team. And that's really how we've done ACS. Again, I'm an engineer at heart. I like to solve the problems. When I first started at ACS, I was out in the field, I was solving problems, I was working on engines, I was working on air compressors. I haven't been in the field in 3 or 4 years. You've got to figure out how to get yourself out of that, and so you can go do the next thing. So we focus on really growing our team, really teaching them how to solve problems, how to operate the business, how to make sure those customers are taken care of. And they're doing new things every day too, which is getting me out of that work so I can do other things. And it's kind of working out too. We've gotten a lot of awards and things like that over the years, which is a lot of fun. Our leadership team really has to be focused on solving problems. And that's not always what leaders do. So we really try to focus on growth is hard. There's a problem every day. And you really need to focus on solving those problems so you can get past it and go on to the next one. So, and again, my job has changed a lot. Like I said, I kind of started playing in the field and doing some neat stuff. I do almost all vision, strategic thinking. I build relationships with our banks, customers, and things like that. And so my personal growth has been very dependent on how we grow as a company, which I didn't really realize that when I started this whole thing. So, the other thing I wanted to touch on, again, Sarah said this too. I think entrepreneurs, the reason we do it, I hope, is to grow people around us. That's not always just inside of our company. So I've been very blessed that I've gotten to do a lot of nonprofit work. And honestly, that helps my company out and me out tremendously. So I think entrepreneurs, we bring a lot to the table that most people don't have experience to. I think we're really good at problem solving as a group because we put ourselves in hard situations. And Sarah, you said that, right? You put yourself in a hard situation. Our community and people around us need those skills and need to have a mentor for those skills. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Connections and relationships. For me personally, I'm all about growing my network. I'm not the best problem solver. Somebody always has a better idea than I do. But getting involved in our community has greatly helped how I operate and how we operate as a company. Resources is the other one. I think one of the things that people in this room are good at is we're really good at managing resources in the bad times As an entrepreneur, you don't have endless bank accounts, you don't have endless resources, but also we're really good at managing resources when we're growing. That's something that the community, and especially nonprofits, need a lot of help with. So I would really encourage y'all to take those skills. Flexible schedules, hopefully we get flexible schedules as an entrepreneur. And then vision and strategic growth and strategic planning is something our community can really help, or really need. I've gotten to do some really neat things outside of the company. Like I said, I don't sleep, to answer your question. So, getting involved in taking these skills, it makes me grow. And like I said, get to do some really amazing things around our community. And a couple people have left with books. So I got 3 books that are really neat. One is Rocket Fuel. EOS is kind of a management system for entrepreneurs. It's pretty simple. It's got a little bit of structure to it, but they kind of tell you can break the rules on a regular basis, which is what entrepreneurs do. But it really does lay out what the leader of a company needs to be, that visionary, which I'm trying to be more at every day. But you should be the person that's setting the long-term goals, the plan, and building those relationships that you need to be successful. So it's a great book. In EOS, there's some really good people. We have one out of Dallas that comes in and actually facilitates our meetings for us once a quarter. And it's been a great help the last about 2 years. The second one is E-Myths. This is just a book that should be on all of ours regular reading schedule, I believe. It really does say, hey, how do you be successful? What is entrepreneurship all about? And it's a great kind of book to start from. And then the last one actually I just finished was Hidden Potential. This is a really neat book. It's really about leadership. It teaches you how to get people to be their fullest potential. It's all about building a scaffold or a support system around your team and then let them go do what they need to do. So it's a great kind of leadership style I thought was really interesting. And just to be honest, it's really good for raising teenagers too. So if you need help with that, which I do, it's a great read. So that's all I had.
Okay, well, noted for teenagers.
Yes, it's all the help you can get with raising teenagers.
Well, I think that was really, really well said. I think it just goes to show, that taking time to invest in yourself and be intentional with your time as a leader. Okay, so seeing the growth in the amount of people that you have on your team is also really interesting, especially coming from you were an engineer at a company and then you just slowly worked your way up. And then all of a sudden you weren't just problem solving technical skills, you were problem solving people skills and managing people. What's that been like?
Well, so when I worked at Cummins, Cummins spent a lot of money because I'm really good at making mistakes and messing stuff up on training me how to solve problems. And so as an entrepreneur, I think getting out and doing it on your own, the process is the same. You really need to understand the problem. You need to figure out what root cause is, and then you can go solve it. And it's the same with people. We have employees that don't get along. So sit them in a room. Hey, why do y'all not get along? Let's work through why you don't get along. And then let's have a plan and hold everybody accountable to that plan. So it really does. It's the same process. Again, you kind of have to get out of your comfort zone and apply what you know from even a technical aspect to people. But yeah, we do that every day, especially as we're adding new team members on a monthly, weekly basis. You're always going to have conflict.
Yeah.
I think now we expect it, which is kind of strange, but getting there early, solving it before it's a big deal, and really working through and making sure everybody's accountable for their actions.
Yeah, well said. And how did you know when the decision came up that you had a chance to buy a company and to take a different role? How did you know you were ready for that new season?
I'll tell you when I'm ready. I am not there yet. Just to be very clear. It's a weird path, especially personally. Like I said, there's a lot of days I wake up and say, what are we doing? And am I the right guy? But we get up. I would just say you just got to have kind of resilience and rigor. You just got to get up and do it. You're going to be faced with problems. And if you have the right attitude of, this problem is going to be hard, but it's going to make me better and make the company better and make my employees better at the end, we're going to work through it. That's what we said every day during COVID. If we get through this, we're going to be better. And that's the attitude you kind of have. So.
And were there ever times, I imagine, especially during COVID, where you were like, this is make make it or break it. And I have people depending on me, and it's a whole other responsibility in addition to, being a parent to kids. Now all of a sudden you feel responsible for employees. How did you manage that?
Well, it's kind of a weird circle. I'm not sure if I can articulate it well. So, my goal is to get people to literally teach everything I can to somebody and mentor them, let them grow, and then them tap me on the shoulder and say, Brian, get out of the way. I'm ready to go. Right. So
Okay.
with that philosophy and that kind of team structure, what comes with that is they are now responsible for a lot of that. So inadvertently, that takes a lot of the burden off of me because they feel ownership, they feel invested. Hey, this is my project, this is my team, this is my what work to make better, make the company better. So it really is kind of a weird delegation. But as soon as your leaders buy into they own their own destiny, then it kind of makes that a lot easier. And you have a lot different conversations. It's not, hey, can you help me? Or, hey, there's a problem. It's, hey, I saw this, I did this, is that okay? That's a great way to grow people and take some of that stress off of the leaders.
Yeah. Delegate.
Delegate.
And loosen the reins.
Yes. A lot of trust. There's a lot of trust in our place.
That's entrepreneurship, it sounds like. Any other questions for Brian here?
Yeah. At what point
Yes.
did you decide to build people from the inside out to make them the best person to be a part of the team?
Honestly, that's been kind of my career. When I worked at Cummins, for some reason, they made me start making new teams. So I was getting 6 just graduated engineers. I mean, a lot of these people didn't know life. They lived with their parents. They lived in the library or the basement of their engineering building. So it was a really quick, hard learning curve. You've got to spend time investing in your team. My career at Cummins was actually really strange. It's probably a whole other presentation. I worked there for about 10 years. I had 9 jobs. And the reason was, came in, built a team, and they said, hey, your team's great. They don't need you anymore, which is a real big bruise to the ego, but we have something else for you. So I really think that's the secret. If your goal is to grow your team, then you'll reap the rewards. You can grow yourself because then you're no longer doing the day-to-day, the tactical stuff. You're really out doing the new stuff, which is very, very rewarding. So kind of let your ego go, jump out there, start trusting, start building, and see what happens.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you use your learning, do you use your management style like for all employees, and what do you do with employees that don't react?
I'll repeat that question. What do you do with employees in certain management styles?
Yeah, be honest, my management style doesn't work for everybody. There are some people that, want to stay in their lane, and that kind of stuff. And it's been really hard. Our turnover is usually just because of that, because people aren't used to the growth and the freedom, and kind of being trusted to that level. And some people just don't like it. And I think we've come to the conclusion, those aren't the people in our company. Not that they're bad people, not that they're not qualified, not that they're not able, but we do have a different environment at our company, and it is not for everybody. I would say we've changed our recruiting a lot in the last kind of year and a half, that we ask those questions up front. Hey, we're adding a new location every year, every other year. That means your job is going to change. Are you okay with that? Is that okay with you? And the people that struggle in that interview, we've learned, hey, that's probably not the right people. So I was always thought, the people that take you from start to growing 2 or 3x, and the people that take you from 3 or 4x to 10x, they might not be the same people. And you just have to realize that as a manager. Again, we give them 1,000 chances to grow, 1,000 chances to do what we want to do. But a lot of people say, yeah, this is just not for me. That's just part of the recruiting and growth.
I think that was really well said. People that take you from, you said it much better than how I'm about to paraphrase it, but you're going to have different seasons at a job and throughout growing a business.
Yeah.
And with those seasons, people will come and go.
Yep.
Yeah. Well said. Yes.
So Brian, you have made it sound very easy. I don't think you have shared enough with us how much time you put in with the local chamber. You mentioned you've done nonprofits, but everyone says, oh, I'm involved in nonprofits. You've actually been involved in nonprofits. You've gone
Man, Jonah, don't we have a meeting to go to or something? So, I like,
Working with someone like Chris Hott,
yeah.
all of your development that you've got going on is so behind the scenes, people don't see. Just maybe mention some of that.
So I'll go back to it's kind of back to that question, right? So if you ever work with me, you'll know I am a pretty weird guy. Like I said, my leadership team reminds me every day. My goal every day is to wake up without an ego, and it's really hard. Like we're doing some really neat things, and I get to do some really neat things in life. But again, if you focus on building that team, then you get to go do stuff. Jonah said, "Yeah, I'm involved in 6 or 7 nonprofits." One of the things I just realized about 6 or 8 months ago is I have never asked to be on the executive board of any of those nonprofits. I just, it's not why I'm there. I'm there to help. I'm there to be part of the team. Tell me what you need, and I'll be there. I think I'm on the board of 6 of the 7, just because, again, bringing that entrepreneurial style, saying, "Hey, let's solve some problems." They're like, "Hey, you'll be a great whatever." Okay, if you need me to, I will. So again, it's having that attitude of I'm here to help, I'm here to grow. And again, when you get involved in nonprofits, they so want people that can just help them grow a little bit. And we come in and say, "Hey, we're going to double this. Let's go do it." And again, that entrepreneurial spirit is, "Yeah, let's go figure it out. We'll just go do it." So, and again, the growth from it has been unreal for me personally. So I've been in harder situations with some of the nonprofits, but again, we're there to help. We're here to grow. And again, I reap the rewards of it every day. So yeah, there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff I do. My team doesn't know what I do all day anymore. But we're out there building customer relationships. We're out there talking to banks. We're out there talking to insurance and whoever it might be to see what we need. It does take a lot of non-spotlight or hidden work that we do, and a lot of it is helping other people that are helping us.
And eventually it pays off.
It almost always pays off. It's rare that it doesn't. So
Yeah.
usually like tenfold.
Wow. And all waking up without an ego. I mean, I think that's a good reminder there. You can be on the mountaintop and even then wake up humble, which is good. Any other questions? Yes.
So when you're going out and developing these community partnerships, are you taking like a protege to train them up to show them the importance of forming community relationships?
Yeah, and it's kind of one of those things that as we grow, we have different resources, different skills inside our company. So now my director of HR, that's one of her main goals this year is to find a way to get ACS more involved. Because we have more resources than we did a couple years ago. And again, so she's taking that on. She's leading a group of Ector County ISD's got a little over 300 high school students that are trying to get their welding certificates. So her and her group are going in and teaching those kids how to do resumes and how to do interviews. We hired an intern from there, a full-time person after she graduated from that program. So we're going back in there and she's leading a whole group of, hey, you know how to weld and that's awesome, but do you know how to have an interview? Do you know how to ask questions? Do you know how to write a resume? And so she's actually helping with that. And honestly, the payback's real easy. We need to hire welders. So by doing that, she gets to say, hey, these are the 5 best welders. Let's go interview these 5. And so by committing that time, she's actually really reaping the rewards pretty instantaneously of being involved in the Ector County CTE program.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'll leave us on this one note. It sounds like you've done a lot of personal coaching and self-reflection and just being intentional with self-help and learning and continuing to expand being a leader. And through all of your experiences, is there any nugget of advice that you were given that you try to remind yourself day in and day out that always is, on the back of your mind, a piece of advice that you were given?
So I had a whole slide in here for that, and I had to take it out because we didn't have too much time. I think that the management style summed up was actually from a manager of mine. When I first got my first management job at Cummins, I asked, how do you judge me? My team goes well, it's easy to judge my team, but how does a manager get judged in a large corporation? And he said, it's really simple. He said, I only ask 2 things. One is if your team is doing a really good job and they're really excelling and they have lots of success and wins, you should be standing behind them, clapping and yelling and being their cheerleader. I said, okay, that's super simple. He said, if the opposite happens, if your team is trying and they just can't get there, or they have a hard project and they need more time, or they didn't hit their goals, you should be in the front taking all the blame. He goes, that's how I judge a manager. That's it. And like I said, that's how I do it. If my team's doing good, to Jonah's point, I should be in the back and no one should even know I'm there if they're doing what they need to do. If they're having problems, let me take all the slack, let me take the tomatoes or the bullet shots across the bow and let them get back to work. And so like I said, that's probably the best management and simplest model I've ever been taught.
I mean, it's so perfectly said.
Yeah, it's super simple.
And we've all worked for people that didn't take those tomatoes. And so if you don't want to do that, right?
Yep.
Well, that is, Brian, you had so many little great pieces of advice there. We really appreciate your time. Let's give him a round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, how about that? Brian and Sarah, they are just so great. Such good testimonies to what it is like being an entrepreneur here in Midland. And you can be all sorts of different industries and do well here in Midland. So just a few housekeeping things. We have our 1 year anniversary. We're coming up on 1 year of doing Founders Blend next month. And our meeting will be on what month is it right now? Today is March 6th. It'll be on April, Gabby, help me out here, that first week of April. Well, this is good homework. You can go follow us on social media, and that's where we have all of our dates posted for when our next meeting is. But we'll be right back here at Second Story for our 1 year Founders Blend anniversary. Before you go, especially for those that are new, make sure that you drop in your contact information. And then as a reminder, we're always looking for other sponsors for coffee, for baked goods in the morning. If you would like to help out with the community partnership, if you think something that your business does could help Founders Blend grow. I mean, we're a lot of the people on this team, we're learning as we go and figuring it out as we go. So if you have, hey, you should try this at Founders Blend, we're all ears and open to those ideas. And then if you're a small business and you'd like to present, you can find our application to present on our website. Fair warning, we're booking now in like October, so it's gonna be a while. However, keep consistent, keep bugging us. You know, squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? So be that squeaky wheel. And this next month, we hope that you just continue to grow your business and to be intentional networking with other people. Again, Brian and Sarah are going to stick around here. So feel free to go up and ask them questions. And then I encourage you, go and meet someone that you don't know while you're here, because we're all here making a sacrifice out of our day-to-day to come. Well, thank you guys so much. Enjoy the rest of your month, and we will see you in April.